Hey, what's up everyone? A short video today to talk about a short snippet of Star Wars. This is a summer 1991 sampler by Bantam Spectra, highlighting and giving top billing to a preview from Heir to the Empire, which had just been published the previous spring, making this one of the earliest editions and incarnations of Heir to the Empire. And for Heir to the Empire collectors and enthusiasts out there, after all these years, there are a lot of editions to track down, from the hardcovers to the softcovers to the reissues to the repackagings to the recovers, not to mention audiobooks and comic adaptations and everything else in between. This is definitely something on the list. A certainly more obscure piece at this point, but back in the day, again, a really wonderful thing to get your hands on, in addition to the previews of the other sci-fi and fantasy books by Bantam Spectra. It's interesting actually to see how much fantasy is here as opposed to sort of pure sci-fi. Obviously, Star Wars exists sort of along a spectrum in between these things, probably more fantasy than not. But the type of sort of almost medieval fantasy that you found in this era in Bantam reminds you that there was a point when Star Wars could have gone more down that direction. When you look at some of the early Bantam era authors, in particular some of the ones whose works were canceled, Margaret Weis, Kenneth Flint, you can sort of see how fantasy authors were primarily being chosen to a large degree to sort of help shape sort of the future of the Star Wars universe. It would have been very interesting to see what things would have looked like if we had more Margaret Weis's and Kenneth Flints, as opposed to Zahn's and others who ultimately sort of got the reins. Anyway, there's only a 7-page snippet here, and it basically is the part of the book where they're about to first land on Bimasari. And it gives you 7 pages and sets up something of a, kind of an exciting, oh, what's going to happen next, right? So a nice sort of inducement into picking up Heir to the Empire for anyone at that point who had not decided to do so. A very short sampler overall. Again, further listings on everything that's in here. Again, also available on audio cassette at the time. It just come out in May, and there were some things that were about to come out later that summer in June and July and into August. Samplers are a great way of finding obscure little sort of additions and variations of Star Wars content. There are a number of book samplers, both here from Bantam, as well as beginning in 2012 with Del Rey. There are a number of comic samplers, some even sort of specifically just focused on the Clone Wars. There are even, particularly from this era in the Bantam run, samplers of audiobooks that you can find on cassette. So lots of different ways in which to sort of continue to sort of experience these things. And for someone like me who likes to have it all up on a shelf, instead of having just little snippets sort of tucked in a magazine or even online, something you'd have to print out, it's nice to get more Star Wars in actual book form, right? That can go right alongside all the other novels and everything else you have on the shelf. Now, of course, this isn't anything new, but occasionally there are samplers that publish something in a book-like format that are only otherwise published in magazines. And I've talked about that in previous videos, for instance, the 2012 and 2013 Del Rey samplers that include short stories that you could really, at least at the time, only get in magazines, that at least you, for a while, were able to now finally sort of get in something like a book form to go up on the shelf, even though a number of those short stories have now been republished in the paperback versions of a number of Star Wars novels. But back to this again, summer 1991, a fun thing to track down. I'll give you guys a snippet of the ISBN for anyone who wants to sort of try and track this down and collect it yourself. A fun way of experiencing, more Heir to the Empire mania, right? Again, for all you Zahn completists out there, here's just another little thing to add to the collection. I will see you next time.